Thinking about starting to set real boundaries? Here are 3 things that you need to know to get started. Hey there, I'm Javonna MaeRhys, your go-to self-care coach, and I help busy women like you get real about self-care through boundaries, mindfulness, and a whole lot of self-love. On this channel, we talk about how to live a softer, more joyful life. And if you want to get started with that, download my free email course, Mastering Boundaries in 7 Days. And for those 7 days, you'll get a short practical tip that will help you confidently say no so that you can say yes to the things that really matter to you. When I first started setting boundaries, I didn't know how important certain principles were. And so I am going to talk to you today about 3 things that you need to know, 3 principles that you need to keep in your mind as you are getting better at setting your boundaries to make sure that they stick, to make sure that you have confidence in setting your boundaries and clarity for both you and other people. And so if you don't understand these 3 things, you might find yourself setting boundaries that don't stick, boundaries that people are trying to negotiate with, leaving you feeling frustrated and overwhelmed. But if you do follow these 3 principles, then you're going to build that muscle of being able to confidently set those boundaries, which is going to give you peace of mind, and it's going to help you protect your time and your time and your energy. So let's get right into it. The first thing is that you need to understand that your boundaries are about you and not about other people. We are not able to control other people. And so boundaries are about what you are going to do in a certain situation. So you can't say that my boundary is that you are not going to talk to me like that, right? Your boundary can be that you are not going to stay in a conversation with someone who talks to you in a particular way. I think I talked in another video about dealing with not setting your boundaries in anger. I'll link to the video in the description. But, I said, give some time and then go back and discuss the boundary. And you can say, that you don't want someone to talk to you in a particular way, but that needs to be phrased with an I. Like, I feel this way when these things are said to me, right? And so you can let the person know calmly that you will go to your office, you will go here, you will go wherever if this is something that pops up in your relationship, because that is a boundary. So that's focused on what you're going to do, not what someone else is going to do. Okay, I think we've all seen people in anger, or maybe we've been somebody in anger who's been like, you are not going to talk to me like that. Well, you don't really have control over how somebody else talks to you. You only have control about how you deal with that by standing there and letting them, in fact, talk to you like that, or by walking away. So, the other thing that you will want to know about setting your boundaries is it's okay to adjust them. Just because you've set a boundary doesn't mean that that is always going to be the boundary. We all grow, we all change, our situations change. We have seasons of busyness, we have seasons where we have a little bit more space in our life. And so, depending on where we are in our growth and our journey of life, where we are with work, where we are with kids, family, whatever, those boundaries may adjust, and that's okay. Just because you've decided that you're in this season and this boundary needs to change, that doesn't make you a failure. It doesn't mean that you're being soft. It doesn't mean that you're being spineless by changing that boundary. It's okay for your situation to change and for your boundaries to adjust to make sure that they're still serving you, because that's the point of boundaries. The boundaries are about prioritizing what you need so that you can be healthy mentally, physically, so that you can show up the way that you want to show up. And I'll give you an example. When I was still working in the US, I'm in Southeast Asia now, but when I was working in the US as a principal, as a teacher, as an assistant principal, all of the different jobs I've had in my educational career, I knew, and my educators know, that when school starts, and if you're an administrator, a couple of weeks before school starts, things are very busy. And so I have a hard stop in my day unless there's danger, imminent danger for someone or something. Otherwise, it'll still be there tomorrow. But I had a hard stop in my day. But at the beginning of the school year, I knew a lot was happening. And so I would adjust that boundary for the first month of school. For the first month of school, I knew that I might stay a little bit late. And I still had a hard stop, but I just adjusted that hard stop to allow myself to work and do the things that needed to be done, because that was a busy season. The end of the school year was another busy season. Now, in between there, I went back to having that hard stop, unless someone's life was in danger or something like that. But I had a hard stop, and that was a boundary to make sure that I was taking care of myself, because, boundaries, that's a strong part of mindfulness and self-care. If you don't have good boundaries, you can't practice self-care. And so it's really a fundamental thing. If you are at the point in your life where you've decided that I am tired of being last on the list and it's time for me to have some self-care. Self-care is not just a one-off thing, it's habitual, and boundaries are a big, big part of that. Now, the third principle is that guilt is normal but manageable. So, depending on who you're setting these boundaries with, it might be everyone. If you're a people pleaser, you might feel guilty all the time. So, if you're used to people pleasing, it's natural for you to feel guilty when you are setting those boundaries. And that's something that you need to know. You need to know that it's normal, so that you don't feel like setting boundaries is wrong and you start apologizing and you start backpedaling on what you need to do to prioritize your needs. And it's important for you to recognize that you cannot be everything to everybody, and you cannot do all the things. Okay. You just cannot do all the things. So when you're feeling guilty, it might be helpful for you to think about the last time that you did something that you didn't really want to do, that you didn't enforce those boundaries, or maybe you had a boundary and you wiffle waffled on it and you backtracked. How were you during that activity? Were you the best version of yourself? Were you helpful in that situation? And even if you were, how did you feel afterwards? Did you feel especially drained? Did you feel resentful? What feelings came up for you the last time that you did something? Or if you had a pattern of doing things that you don't really want to do, maybe you need to tap into how that felt to help you address the guilt that you feel about setting boundaries now. And just remind yourself that it's okay to prioritize yourself. And that if you're doing things that you don't really want to do, you may be doing a disservice to the people and the event or whatever. Maybe someone else who is happy to do it or who has the space can do it. But regardless, it's not for you to decide. You've decided that you want to set the boundary, that you want to take care of yourself. And so work on understanding that that guilt, while normal, is manageable. And as you work that muscle of building your boundaries and practicing saying no, you're going to feel that less and less. So, if you are new to boundary setting, these three things are going to help you strengthen or refine your approach. And if you want some more help, again, download Master the Art of Boundaries in 7 Days, or rather sign up for my email course. The link is in the description. And if you found this helpful, then please like, share, subscribe, send me some comments because it really does help my channel. And you also can let me know specifically what else with boundaries you want to talk about. Maybe I'll do a live about it and answer your questions live, or make another video about these specific boundary issues that you want to talk about. Because as I said, I truly believe this, having good boundaries is the foundation of self-care, because you cannot sustain and make self-care a habit if you do not have good boundaries. So again, if you found this video helpful, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.